So we're going to work through this question, but I'm gonna kind of work through it for you, as it were, so you can see how my brain would approach this question. Right? If I was answering this question, this is what I would do. All right, I'll start off with C4H8O. My first question is, how many rings, how many double bonds, what's its double bond equivalent? Because if I work out that, I immediately know what kinds of things I need to be drawing. Anyone tell me what the double bond equivalent is?
What?
So C4, so the number of hydrogens would be 10 for a saturated alkane. We've got 8, so it's 2 less, so 1. So I've got either 1 ring or 1 double bond. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. All my structures, I've got to have 4 carbons, 1 oxygen, and then either 1 ring or 1 double bond. Okay, so we already know something about the kind of structures that we're drawing. Let's deal with the next fact. Readily oxidized by a warm acidified potassium dichromate. What does that tell me about our molecule?
It can be oxidized into a ketone or aldehyde.
What can be oxidized? What is it that can be oxidized? Okay, so it could be an alcohol. Any alcohol? Come back to that in a moment. What kinds of alcohols can it be if it's readily oxidized by warm acidified potassium dichromate?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, it can only be primary or secondary. Alright. So no tertiary alcohols allowed then. Are there any other types of functional groups that are readily oxidized by warm acidified potassium dichromate? Yes, obviously I wouldn't have asked the question.
Aldehydes.
Okay, so it could be an aldehyde as well. All right, as long as we've got an OH or an aldehyde in the molecule at a point where it can be oxidized, then that counts. Okay, so we're really building up a bit of a list of features here. Right, let's just do the last one then, which does not decolorize bromine water.
It can't be an alkene.
Okay. Now that's really important because we've already worked out that rings not allowed. Sorry, we've already worked out. Let's say that again for the tape. We've already worked out that double bonds are a part of our possible structures, but we're now saying that alkenes are not allowed. So I can have double bonds, but not alkenes. What's a double bond, but not an alkene? It's an aldehyde, because an aldehyde is a double bond. Okay. All right. Okay. So no alkenes, but we're allowed aldehydes. Counts as a double bond. We're allowed a ring. But we can't have a ring and an aldehyde, because that would be a ring and a double bond. Yes?
Yeah.
Yes, good, right. So what I'm thinking is, it's either going to have to be an alcohol with a ring, or it's got to be some sort of straight chain molecule which is an aldehyde. Okay. Now it's a lot easier to produce my isomers based on those two ideas than it was to produce isomers based on that. We could have been fiddling around. There's about 20 different isomers of C4H8O. We could have been drawing isomers for a long time and not got anywhere near the answer. Whereas now we know it's either an alcohol with a ring or it's just a straight chain with an aldehyde. Could you have a go at drawing 2 structures, please? Okay, so everyone's now thinking in the right direction. So we've got lots of structures like that. Are there any other options?
Well,
What was that?
Is it a methyl where it goes 3 and then 1 off the top, and then the aldehyde off the top?
Like add a methyl group. And use one.
Oh yeah, like that. Okay, so yeah, this doesn't have to be. We can have a bit of branching here, can't we? We could have our aldehyde like that. Yeah, I like that. Any other ring options?
Could you have it like a
Oh, we
triangle?
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, triangle with a long branch.
Triangle. It could look like that, or it could be triangle. Like that. Okay. So what's that? 5? I think that's all of them. So you're going to get these. You're going to get these kinds of questions in the exam. They're often very information laden, and the tricky bit, the slow bit, is sort of translating what it says in the question into possible answers. So we will do a bit of practice of these later on.